Ladies, gentlemen, and gentle people, can we all agree that ancient graves should be left alone? Nothing good can come of disturbing them. Except maybe a $1 million movie franchise that captured the hearts and souls of a generation. That's right, we're talking about The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. And because it made so much money the first time, obviously they tried to reboot the franchise and start another cinematic universe, except this time it stars everyone's favorite Scientologist, Tom Cruise. Welcome back to Effing It Up. Welcome back, feral listeners. Today we are talking about The Mummy. Numbers 1, 2, and 3. Except actually just 2 and 3 because, let's face it, we don't really need to talk about number 1, but I am going to touch on it a little bit.
You did scare me a little bit. I was like, was I supposed to watch 3 movies?
Nope. I did discover in my research that the Tom Cruise 2017 The Mummy is not the first reboot. So let me go through my summary real quick about all 3 of these movies.
Hit it.
In 1932, that's right, 1932, The Mummy, a pre-Hays Code supernatural horror film, was released by Universal Pictures starring the iconic Boris Karloff. Then, in 1999, Universal Pictures released The Mummy, an action-adventure film starring Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. In 2017, The Mummy, a dark fantasy action-adventure film starring Tom Cruise and Sofia Boutella, was released by Universal Pictures. The film was touted as the first of the Dark Universe cinematic universe, which had plans to release updated versions of old Universal Pictures monsters such as Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Invisible Man, and obviously The Mummy. So this series has been rebooted twice. And I did not realize it. So today we will be specifically focusing on the 2 reboots alone and leaving the 1932 film to live on in its original, unproblematic glory.
Well, we're going to leave that one in an undisturbed tomb.
Oh, this is going to be rough. Okay.
You're ready for all the mummy jokes.
Yeah, this is going to... Oh, God. Just wrap me in toilet paper and call it a day. Okay. So
That's a wrap.
I'm going to skip over the summary for this one because despite having the same title, these are 2 completely different movies, except for the fact that the 1999 Mummy borrowed the backstory of Imhotep and Anaxuman and the curse. So actually the Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz Mummy lifted a lot from the Boris Karloff original one.
Okay.
Fun facts that I learned.
Yeah.
I was on the treadmill really late last night working on my notes, so it's possible that these aren't going to make any sense whatsoever. So, doing my best over here, Laurel.
Adrenaline-fueled notes. I like it. Picturing you like...
Yeah, it was more like I was holding this and then someone had the audacity to get on the treadmill next to me.
Sounds dangerous, trying to do notes while you're on the treadmill. I'm excited to just... I didn't really format my notes following any sort of like structure other than I separated them by movie.
So I can't ask you to lead us on this archaeological adventure.
Let's dig in.
I'm going to kill myself.
I'll help. We could talk characters. I did at the last minute remember that we'll probably talk characters, so I wrote up a quick list of like the essentials.
Oh, great.
If you want, shall we?
Well, it is kind of our structure that we loosely...
Yeah, very loosely. As loose as an undead mummy's wrappings. Okay, no, that wasn't very good.
I really...
That's the worst one yet.
I really hated that one. Okay, I divided my characters into the heroes and the villains, old and new. Is
Okay,
kind
yeah,
of what I did.
That's cool. I like that.
So let's start with the 1999 version.
Mm-hmm.
What are your opinions on the heroes?
Quotation marks, because first of all, they are the British plundering the Egyptian people's culture and artifacts, so classic.
But it's
well, except I guess O'Connell. O'Connell is American, so I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's the Western people plundering the riches. But it is fun, as you said.
Can I take a guess at what you thought of Rick O'Connell?
Please, guess away.
You hated him. You thought he was misogynist and disgusting and sexist. Am I getting warmer?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But well, the truth is, like, before I even watched the movie, I already knew about that scene where he like forces a kiss on her through the jail bars or whatever.
It's not great.
So I already knew he was going to be a misogynistic jerk.
You jerk.
Couldn't think of a better word. So I just kind of like, I'm not saying that this is media literacy at its finest, but I kind of went into it being like, I'm just going to ignore the fact that he is a creep.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just going to enjoy Brendan Fraser being Brendan Fraser.
Okay, because that's kind of what I want to say. Like, despite the clearly male 90s writing, I feel like the charisma and, you know, the golden retriever energy of Brendan Fraser really shines through.
Yes.
Despite the machismo man shtick that he's doing.
Like, every time he did something, like, gross and weird, like, overbearing, and she was into it, I was just like, I'm just ignoring the fact that this was written by men who think that this is what women are into. They don't know better. Okay?
No, they
Those
don't.
little babies don't know better.
They don't know better. They're like, women
They've
want
never-
this, right?
They've never met a woman in Hollywood.
It's like, guys, no, that one scene you wrote where he steals archaeological tools and gives them to her because he knows that's her special interest. That's what women want.
Because it's like, you called her because she's a nerd.
Because she's a nerd.
That was definitely the best romantic scene in the movie.
It gets me every time. It's so sweet.
It's so sweet. And she is not bothered in the slightest. She knows that they're stolen and she's into it. She's just like, cool, I don't care.
Yeah. Everybody in this movie, every single character from the hero to the villain is a damn menace.
You're so right.
None of them are good people. They're all terrible. They're
all
pillaging ancient tombs. They're stealing shit. They're killing each other with guns. But gosh darn it, they're so likable while they're doing these terrible things.
It's so true. Like, I just think Brendan Fraser is so funny as a romantic lead because he's a comedic actor, not really a romantic one in my opinion.
No, but he's so good.
He's so good. The word you used was charisma. That's exactly right. He's very charismatic.
And jumping to Evie real quick. I adore her.
I love her.
She's so, like, I feel like in the time when, I mean, I don't want to say that there were no well-written female characters in the 90s, because that's not true. Meg Ryan had some great parts, like other iconic 90s actors had some good roles. But to have an action-adventure film where Evie is such a contributing part of the team, like, she's basically the one leading the expedition because it's her life's work.
It's her life's work, yeah.
Which I think you said earlier.
Yeah. No.
So I'm sorry.
No, you're right. We're not re-recording anything.
We're not re-recording anything. Our batteries didn't die.
This is all off the cuff, as they say. Woo! No, it's so great because she's got more drive and character than a lot of female characters do in modern day action adventure films, I'm sorry to say.
Yeah. I mean, well, let's speaking of which, let's circle back to that point in a second, but let's
I wonder what makes you say that.
Wonder what we're gonna talk about.
Where are you going with that?
Real quick, before we talk about the villains, let's just run through some of our other favorites. I love Jonathan.
Oh my gosh, I love him from the moment he was introduced.
I love the Magi. The leader.
I had to write down his name. It's Ardeth. I don't know
Ardeth,
if they ever
yes.
say that. Maybe they do.
What
You said it like,
what a smolderingly handsome man.
what a smolderingly handsome man.
Like, we knew he was good looking, and then the hat came off later, and you got the full coiffed of locks.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, huh.
Can the movie be about him instead, maybe?
I think I said to someone before, I was like, or I saw a post about how this movie is a bisexual's dream. And it really is. It's just beautiful people, right and left, right and left.
And then there's Benny, and then beautiful person. I say that with love in my heart. He was my...
It looks like I have all the horses. Hey, Benny! It looks to me like you're on the wrong side of the river!
Was a spot-on recreation.
That's one of
I loved Benny the most, actually.
my childhood best friend, Amanda, is the one who introduced me to this movie, and I'm pretty sure that's still her favorite line
It's like
to this day.
it's lines like that spoilers make me very sad Benny didn't make it because I was rooting for him to get away scot-free. I was like, this man.
Oh, no, I wanted him to suffer.
I don't mind some suffering, but I want him to, in the end,
Live.
I want him to get away. I want him to have riches. I want him to benefit from his weaseliness.
No! Weaseling must be punished, Laurel. Looting, plundering, cultural insensitivity, all of that is fine.
Yeah,
but when
that's
you're
totally fine.
but when you're a weasel about it and you can't pick a side and stick to your guns, you must be punished.
Yeah, and when the only two sides available are the English people doing the looting or the American people doing the looting.
Yeah.
You are not allowed to be a Hungarian man in
You
for yourself.
You cannot be Hungarian man willing to sell anybody down the river for a nickel.
I love him. He's my favorite.
Can we talk about the villains real quick?
Yeah.
I really like the silliness of all of the protagonist characters.
Yeah.
Juxtaposed to how deathly serious, like, Imhotep and Anaximan are, and the whole backstory. Like, the backstory is dark.
It is, yeah. It's not even like...
There's murder, there's whoring,
Yep.
from all parties involved.
I mean, if you look at, like, the original 1999... the 1999 Mummy backstory, the creatures really aren't any worse than the modern protagonists. Like, in a way, I mean, sure, they were having a love affair behind the Pharaoh's back, but the Pharaoh was trying to own this woman.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't have agency.
Yeah.
And then they were both punished for their love.
Yes.
Which, I'm not condoning, obviously, adultery, but
Again,
I also don't
to be clear, we're not condoning adultery or murder. We're just also not condoning pharaohs being allowed to own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was his possession.
Yeah.
So I don't condone that either, believe it or not.
I
do come down on the side of anti-human ownership.
Yeah.
If you can believe that.
If you want to take a controversial stance here.
So I don't know.
Can I just say, watching that backstory, I was so relieved that she took her own life before she got mummified alive.
Oh man.
Because that initial scene where they find Imhotep trying to resurrect his girlfriend, and then they capture him and his priest, and then are like, well, torture all of them, bury them all alive. I'm like,
oh, I know.
I'm like, this is horrifying.
It is horrifying. It took me a little bit of like readjustment to when the Pharaoh's guard descendants show up to realize that, oh, they're supposed to be like protagonists too, because the original Pharaoh's guard did was horrible.
Yes, which I will say, they're just descendants.
Yeah,
they're just guarding a tomb.
Yes,
We're not gonna hold the Magi.
No.
responsible for the sins of their ancestors.
Correct.
The same way, we don't know what's floating around in either of our family trees.
True
So,
that.
again, we just want to...
We'd rather not know. Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, I'm not looking up Ancestry.com. I don't want to know who's up there.
Or down there, potentially.
I meant on the tree, but thank you for inferring that most of my relatives, like our 2 listeners, are in hell.
Called an infernal inference. Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
I feel like that sums up the old.
Yeah.
A lot of my feelings about the old characters. I think everybody's fun.
Are we
Bottom line, I think everybody heroes to villains are fun.
Yeah, absolutely. They are.
Yeah, are you ready to talk about something that's not fun?
Boy, I wonder what you could be. Okay, before we start talking about something that's not fun, are we contrasting those characters to their counterparts from the 1990s, or just talking about them separately?
I'm thinking because the movies are, I'll give it credit, are so different. I feel like we can kind of talk about them separately.
I agree, yeah.
So, kind of like how good the characters are, how good the atmosphere is, how good the other parts of the movie are, kind of builds to the larger set of it.
Mm-hmm. As you said, they're entirely different stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So, but compared to the fun action comedy adventure of like everybody being delightful, everybody being a scene stealer, can we tell where this is going? Can we tell between the 2 films we're talking about which one's gonna come up on top? It's such a mystery. All right.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about Nick, a.k.a. Tom Cruise.
A.k.a. literally a war profiteer.
Literally, to quote What We Do in the Shadows, a literal human shitbag.
That's him. And with absolutely 0 grounds for saying so, the woman is like, "You're a good man." No, he's not.
Let's just start checking off some boxes.
Yeah, let's check off some boxes.
I also, again, my baseline is I said, Nick, aka Tom Cruise, absolutely despicable, an empty shell of a character. We have, like you said, war profiteering. We have sleeping with a woman and then sneaking out the next morning.
And stealing from her.
We have stealing from the woman that he hooked up with. We have him lying about the woman he hooked up with to his direct commander. We have him lying to his direct commanders, calling in an airstrike on a civilian town because they were trying to steal shit.
Yes! And endangering his friend who did not want to be there.
Endangering his friend who did not want to be there by throwing out his water.
Yeah, slices his water jug to coerce him into a dangerous mission where the objective is literally to steal riches from the local people.
Mm-hmm. And tries to abandon girl. So he saves her. We'll take one down. He saves her from the airplane crash.
That's true.
But then, in the next scene, when they're confronted by the big bad of this movie, he immediately drives away and tries to abandon her.
Left her there. That is not addressed. She's just like, "Were you gonna leave me?" And he's just like, "Well, you saw them.
You saw it." It's like, wait, does that mean you were going to leave her?
You literally were gonna leave her. That was actually funny.
And also,
He's a
real
bad
quick,
dude.
again, not knocking what you like, but being sexually attractive to a dead woman that's trying to kill him.
Yeah, he kind of is. He kind of is into her, but
in like a I'm scared way, but also it's like my dude.
in defense of the character and in anti-defense of the writers, they were going for like she has a sexy thrall over him, which
yes, Sofia Boutella I think could have that effect on literally anybody, but
Yeah.
And not when...
I just don't love when men write movies where a woman's only weapon is her sexiness.
Giving Irene Adler.
That's all. It's giving, the modern interpretation of Irene Adler.
Yeah, sorry.
I had to add that in there.
Yep. The Moffat interpretation of Irene Adler. My bad. Sorry, I should have specified that.
It's just like, you really think that that's all that women have to offer, and that's all that you are interested in what a woman has to offer. Thanks.
I don't even know what else to say about, like, Nick.
He's just a bad dude. And
he's just a bad guy.
The only, like, redemptive act that he does, in my opinion, is that he does save her in the airplane crash, but then he later admits he thought there was another parachute. Yes!
Okay, full disclosure. I got halfway through the movie before YouTube said, hey, your rental's no longer available, even though I thought I had it for 30 days, which I'm pretty sure I've done before. But so I went and watched a couple summaries to try and piece it together, because I was not paying another $5 to rent this god-awful piece of shit. But yeah, so Laurel's going to fill me in on a couple things as we go along talking about this.
Yeah, okay, so that was like his one big heroic moment wasn't even really a heroic moment.
Yeah, and in the end, he, spoilers, sacrifices himself?
Possibly.
To the god Set.
But...
to gain his power?
Yeah, but he didn't know that would work.
Yeah.
And there was no one there to kill him if it didn't work the way that he wanted it to, which means he potentially...
endangered the entire world.
And was like, okay, Set's gonna just... Because he did exactly what they wanted to do all along.
Yeah.
The evil plan. I'm like, what the heck? What in the Egyptian underworld?
What in the live, laugh, love is going on
What
here?
in the live, laugh, love?
Nick seems like the kind of guy that would have a live, laugh, love sign, unironically, in his sad little grayish apartment. I so strongly dislike Tom Cruise in everything he's in, and this film is no exception. I hate this character.
I don't dislike Tom Cruise, but I do think that there's a certain, like...
emptiness?
Yeah, right, like he doesn't quite understand what character growth looks like. In the Live, Die, Repeat film and in this one, it's like his character just randomly starts doing better things. But, like, why?
Yeah, where's the motive?
Where's the motive? What changed?
Yeah.
We didn't get to see that transformation.
Mm-hmm.
So, just, you don't connect with that.
Nope, not even a little bit.
But, yeah, anyway. What did you think about, Vale?
Nick Johnson steals every scene that he's in and should have been the lead, and his personality might have made up for the shitty script.
You're so right. Okay, so I was writing some notes as I was watching, and I wrote, I love Vale. And then 3 notes later, I'm like, he's dead?
Yeah.
Like,
because...
you killed the only interesting character.
Exactly. His chemistry was too competitive to be in the film.
So good. Yeah, you're probably
Or,
right.
sorry, not his chemistry. His, like,
What? But
his,
he does.
Like, I'll say charisma.
His charisma.
He has the Brendan Fraser charisma that could have carried the movie.
He absolutely does.
Despite not having a great script.
He should have been the main character. And I'll say, okay, I'm sorry. He wasn't the only interesting character. He was by far the most interesting character. I did think Jekyll was interesting also.
Yeah.
And I thought he was a compelling actor.
Yeah.
Which is a surprise to no one. Russell Crowe, right?
It's Russell Crowe, yeah.
Russell Crowe. Can't go wrong with Russell Crowe.
He has a lot of presence.
He has a great presence.
I think his storyline with
Was
him
silly.
being... I'm like, oh, you're going to try and introduce Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde into
it was shoehorned
cinematic universe.
It didn't fit with the movie.
Yeah, the name would have been enough to imply that there was going to be a plot line later. They didn't have to shoehorn in he's turning into Hyde
It was very, like, mid-2000s Marvel clumsiness kind of. Yeah, that was the vibe.
Ugh.
But I liked his character. But yeah, Vale was the only one that I was like, I am enjoying watching this character, and I want to see more of him.
I was so happy he came back as a ghost for a little bit. I was like, shit.
I know.
What a tragic waste.
What
a waste of Jake Johnson. I love that man. I was watching it, and I said, imagine if they had It just had Jake Johnson, and then they took Max Greenfield, who plays Schmidt on New Girl, and had the two of them in the lead roles.
That would have been amazing.
Nicholas!
He's so funny.
What do you mean we're gonna steal?
But then nothing would have gone wrong because they would have just minded their own business and not gone in there.
That's true.
Are
we gonna talk about Jenna?
Oh, God, do we have to?
I said for her, another empty shell that doesn't even receive the dignity of being an actual history nerd. She's actually part of a secret society run by Dr. Jekyll.
She contributes nothing to the film. Why is she there?
I don't know.
For a romance. When do they fall in love? Show me when that happened.
Yeah.
He's like crying over her death, but not the death of his army buddy whom he had to kill.
Yeah.
That's who he chooses to bring back? Her? This woman?
Well, he resurrects.
Yeah, eventually.
Too, yeah.
Eventually
when it's convenient.
But that was
for
not
him.
his motivation. Yeah, exactly. He uses his friend, but he loves this woman whom he just met.
He's like, the feelings are real.
Stole from. Yeah.
It's like, also, we didn't see that.
We didn't see any
We didn't see that backstory. We have no idea if there's any complicated layers to their relationship.
We saw no charisma between them.
No. You mean chemistry?
Yeah, sorry. We are using those words interchangeably. I'm sorry. There was no chemistry between them.
Yeah.
And she had no chemistry with anyone.
No. Which is... Like, I've seen Annabelle Wallis in other things before. Like, she's not a bad actor.
Well, she was given nothing to work with.
She was given nothing to work with. That was an empty character.
That was... Yeah.
So, I know it's not really fair to compare Jenny to Evie because it is two completely different movies. But it's difficult when in 1999, where we weren't exactly like ahead of the curve with like women characters being well written, seems like in 2017 it should just be a little better.
You say it.
She should be better.
She should be better.
Evie's a cute little sweet, a little cutie patootie history nerd. Stealing shit. And then Jenny's just there.
She's just there.
To provide exposition.
To be fringed, essentially.
Yeah.
To motivate the male character through her death. Why would she need a personality and boobs, Maya?
You're right.
Did you think of that?
You're right, Laurel.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, she has no personality. And I don't know the actress from anywhere else, so I kind of want to just be mean to her. I'm sure she's lovely, but like...
Yeah. I mean,
Again,
we're not gonna blame... We can blame the actor sometimes, but like Annabelle Wallis is not a big enough name, I think, to like carry any of that weight on her shoulders.
Telling me to be a good person. Fine. But like we said earlier, she truly was given nothing to work with.
Nothing.
There's not a single line of dialogue in there that like establishes any kind of passion or interest or personality outside of...
She's also not really allowed to interact with any of the characters in any way other than like exposition and yelling, giving order. There's nothing.
She's there to be mean and grumpy. It's exactly. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, I bet you, if Jake Johnson was the lead instead of Tom Cruise,
I don't know. I'm hearing
what you're saying. I feel like there would have been more to work with for her.
There would have been more to work with.
Because Jake Johnson is a great improviser, and he just says silly, goofy things.
He's a delight.
He could have chemistry with a sock. So, anyway, should we talk about the villains in the new one? I mean, really, there's just one. I don't want to call Dr. Jekyll really a villain. He's more of like
he's not a villain.
Like a gray character.
Yeah. I mean, he is going to kill the main character, but like...
But I mean, that happens anyway.
Yeah, the guy does it himself anyway, so...
NBD, no big deal. Princess Anaximand. What a waste of Sophia Boutella.
What a waste. She is just there to be naked, and then to be naked and chained up. I'm sorry I said it, but...
What? Laurel? The lead villain character is just sexy?
She's just sexy.
I'm not gonna pretend like Anaxuman. Did I say Anaxuman?
I think so. That's what you said. That's what I wrote down.
Anaxuman is Princess Amanette. Princess Amanette is 2017. Anaxuman is 99.
I can't remember.
But anyway, I'm not going to pretend like Anaxuman was a super developed character. Like, she was also just pretty much in like body paint the whole time.
No, you're talking about the one from the 1999.
Yeah, but again,
it's crazy that she dies in the beginning and provides the motivation for the entire film, but then they don't even fully bring her back.
Yeah,
that felt like an undelivered promise to me.
They do in the sequel.
Oh, Maya. Okay, all right.
She comes back.
Okay.
She gets more backstory.
Okay.
It's fun.
All right. So the sequel's good?
Sequel's fun. It's not as good as the original. It has some of the worst CGI ever.
That does not bother
Dwayne
me.
"The Rock" Johnson plays the Scorpion King.
That's what that's from?
That's what that's from.
Okay, now I gotta watch
Now
that.
you gotta watch it. It's a good time. But anyway, Anaxuman was a sexual character.
Yes, absolutely.
In 1999. Princess Amanette, played by Sofia Boutella, is a sexual character that's supposed to be the lead villain in 2017. It's just a little more
kinky,
a little more unforgivable,
a little more, because she's an actual character. But the only thing she does,
she's supposed to be an actual character.
She sexually assaults a bunch of men, and then she is chained up and tortured until the end of the movie, where she is promptly disposed of through more sexual assault. Another thing that I found disturbing.
Let's talk about that scene.
Let's talk about that scene.
Let's talk about that scene, because I know you don't like it. We're kind of drifting into other now, but
yeah, I think we covered the characters.
We've covered the characters. Let's talk about other.
This is the thing, because I actually really enjoyed the movie up until the end there. I know you're gonna be horrified. I went into it. I know Maya's judging me so hard right now. I actually really enjoyed it. I was not expecting to enjoy it at all. I saw it was starring Tom Cruise, and I don't really care about him. Like, I enjoy Brendan Fraser. I don't care much about Tom Cruise. I saw it was set in modern times after I started watching, and I was like, that's lame. But then I was kind of taken. Like, the whole banter between Nick and Vale, and there were some really fun action sequences that I was enjoying. Then you get to the end of the movie. So, like I said, she's going around kissing all these men against their will throughout the entire film, stealing their life force.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be through a kiss. They chose to portray it that way.
Yeah.
She's essentially naked the whole movie.
Yeah, she's sucking them like a juice box.
She's sucking them like a juice box. But then it comes up to the scene where he kills her. He sucks her life force out through kissing her.
Yeah.
He holds her down.
Yeah.
It is framed very much like
an assault.
Yeah. And specifically a sexual assault scene. Like, the entire way that they chose to portray it on screen, it was really icky. I was very uncomfortable. And that, for me, I was just like, okay. I was willing to ignore everything else. The way I ignored Brendan Fraser forcing himself a kiss on...
Yeah.
Because I was just, choosing to acknowledge that it's an action film written by men for men.
Yeah.
But that crossed the line for me. What did you think?
I thought that the 2017 version was one of the most sinfully boring things I have sat through. And I really tried to go into it. I'm like, I know I love The Mummy. I know I love the Brendan Fraser one. I think it's so fun and so silly, so Indiana Jones, so National Treasure.
Yes, like, very National
Treasure. All those good, fun vibes. So I was like, okay. I was like, just go into it, like, with an open mind. And I'm like, okay. I was like, oh, they're war profiteers?
Yeah.
I was like, how am I... Oh, they're calling in an airstrike on a civilian. How am I supposed to... And then Jenny showed up, and I was like, maybe Jenny will have a... Nope. Nope. I don't care about anybody in this movie except for Jake Johnson. this is not starting out well. I did like the part where all of the rats came out and crawled all over Tom Cruise. I really enjoyed that.
That was kind of fun.
Anytime Tom Cruise was uncomfortable, like, I was having fun. I enjoyed every part of that. I was just bored.
That's so funny.
I was bored the whole time. I kept watching it in chunks. I was so bored throughout.
I weirdly had a great time. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm glad you did. I had a terrible time. I also got really mad at the action scenes because I'm like, I probably would be enjoying this if, I could see anything. Like, God, bring back the beautiful times when we used to actually light movies so that we could see them, even if it was happening at night.
We talked about that when we did the Indiana Jones movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we talked about how it was so
exciting.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my word, we can see what's happening. Yeah. It's like, I can't see anything. Like, how am I supposed to enjoy the action? I can't even tell what's going on.
Because the action is just all the sexual assault, Maya. That part they made sure you could see.
You're right. I was like, oh, it's like a Capri Sun. Good for her.
Except not.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was like, I don't mind a female villain, but like be interesting, and it's just like
yeah.
It's like I just there's nothing apart from Jake Johnson.
Like you said, he's the only one. Well, and Russell Crowe, I thought. I didn't think he fit, but I did think he was at least an interesting character.
I didn't get far enough to see Russell Crowe be interesting.
You didn't get that. Okay.
I just saw him in the beginning, but
I did like that scene where they introduced him and you don't know if he's going to like inject Nick with something. Like they kind of set it up like, what's he about to do, Nick? And then he injects himself and you're just like, oh.
Oh. Kinky?
Okay, getting a little freaky over here.
Little Jekyll, little Hyde.
Yeah. It would have been more exciting if they hadn't said his name was Jekyll when they introduced him, I think.
Yeah, like maybe going by his first name or
just
something.
Just call him Dr. J or something.
Dr. J, yeah. And then later.
Where's the mystery in that?
It's like, oh, there's this little nameplate and then he goes, oh, Dr. Jekyll?
Uh-huh.
It's a mouthful.
Yes, that would have been much better.
Imagine, actually writing a script. Imagine doing that.
Imagine just having a little bit of mystery and intrigue instead of just being so eager to launch your
cinematic universe. How's that going for you guys?
Cinematic universe.
Yeah. Oh yeah, real quick. Let me just circle back to the one scene that really grinded my gears.
Yeah, hit me with it.
When she was on the plane and they pulled the Michael Bay, Megan Fox midriff exposure.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was
I was like,
uncalled for.
I was like, are you I was like, I'm sorry, what year is it? Are we doing Transformers again?
Was this
directed? Did Michael Bay direct this? That's not a compliment. That's not a compliment.
You're so right. It's like, was this directed by a middle school boy who just discovered that he's into girls? Like, what is happening?
Anyway, it was just...
That was so out of the blue.
Do you have any more thoughts, Sorrel, that you wish to share?
I just wanted to talk about the plane scene where it crashes, because I was fascinated by that, and I Googled it to see how they filmed it, and they did the whole, like, vomit comet thing, where they, like, fly up in a plane, and then they go into a free fall to to capture the zero-G effect. So they did that, and they also combined it with shots of, like, a rotating set.
Okay, that's nice.
That is so cool. And I was like, dang, like, is that a thing that movies often do? And I was looking into it, and the only other movie I can find that did that was Apollo 13. So they really pulled out all the stops for that one scene.
Some people were working hard on the film.
It's a shame that it was wasted on...
Keyword. Some people.
Yeah. I just thought that was really cool. But yeah, overall, did you have more thoughts?
Overall, my thoughts kind of go into my closing thoughts.
I think I'm ready for closing thoughts.
Okay. So once again, we will bring up our question. Did the remake add anything of value to the original? Did it justify the movie being made? since we're technically discussing both remakes, I think we could obviously say that the 1999 one justified itself being made. Mm-hmm. It was a complete revitalization of the source material. Mm-hmm. It was a fun action adventure film. And I have to give the 2017 movie credit, because in the last one I said either capture the magic of the old film completely or do something completely different. Mm-hmm. And the 2017 Mummy did something completely different. Instead of an action adventure film, it definitely felt more like a supernatural horror adventure thriller film. Like, complete tonal change from the 99 version. But all that being said, I can praise it for that. I can give them credit for doing something different. Unfortunately, it was one of the dumbest plot lines with the emptiest characters that I have ever seen. So I do not think it did enough to justify its existence. I think the world would have been perfectly fine without it, except what would Laurel and I talk about if people didn't make bad movies?
It's true. Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I agree. I think the biggest difference is that in the 1999 version, the characters were just bursting with life and character, and they had personality traits. And then in the 2017 version, they were all empty slates, like blank slates. You know what I mean?
Same difference.
Girl, you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
It was just disappointing. But, there was one more thing I thought was funny. This is not really a closing comment, but
I think it can be a closing comment. You can say whatever you want. This is our show.
So, since you're talking about it being like a supernatural thriller or whatever, it begs the question, why was the mummy's coffin set up on like a system of pulleys that you could bring up out of the ground just by cutting one rope? I thought the whole point was to keep her encased in the earth. Why would you even make a method of bringing her up?
I know. Like, at least in the 99 one, it was like just properly buried.
Yeah.
And the Magi were just like guarding the tomb, doing a shitty job.
Yeah, but at least they were guarding it.
Doing something.
Anyway, yeah, I agree. I don't think that the 2017 version did enough to justify itself being created.
Yeah.
Their justification, I think, ultimately was to launch a cinematic universe that would make them the big money like Marvel was doing.
Yeah.
That's all they wanted to do.
How's that working out for you, Universal Pictures? We're so smug for two people who have no money.
I know. You know what? I will sit on my high horse, my moral superiority of poverty.
All right. Anyway, as always, everyone, thank you for tuning in. If you liked the 1999 one, if you hated the 2017 one, if you hated the 1999 one and love the 2017 one, as always, you're completely justified to, because these are just our opinions, and I know sometimes it's just fun to listen to people complain about things and talk about how much they suck and how great they are. So it all evens out. But thank you for listening. Hope you guys are all having a great start to the new year, and we will see you next time for our first ranking video of season 3. And as always, keep it feral. Bye, guys. Thank you for listening to another episode of Effing It Up. If you're enjoying these episodes, please like and subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram at _effingitup_ or on our YouTube channel where we post the video format of our show. If you have content that you want us to cover, we want to hear about it. Feel free to DM us on Instagram or leave us a comment on our YouTube channel. Thank you again.